business. Let's see if that's the case. All right, so we had to switch to an external router. All right, so welcome back to What She Said Sports. Um, it just seems like there's some persistent area issues in the area, but I hate to say it, that's why we have an external router. So we just have to kind of push forward with that. So give me a second. All right, we good to go. All right, so I received a post last night from X forwarded to me by media team member Charlotte. Thank you, Charlotte. Now, it was about Deshaun Watson, and it was suggesting that there is a new case against him, and they showed like four different photos of court documentation with a letter from a doctor, but all of this is pretty much from a different time period. So that's what we're getting into. And I just said, what? We got another train on another track, and I just said it, what? It's Deshaun Watson. Because, I basically asked the question that nobody's asking. How the hell does Deshaun Watson, after what we know, 24 civil lawsuits settled, get a $240 million contract, right? I asked the question. So essentially, this is why we're talking about this. Because I just said, as long as this crap, this Shedeur continue, we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson and his contract because it's crazy, right? And here we are. So I went down to looking into all the information that was presented on Twitter. Even USA Today referenced the whole Twitter post. So the Twitter person and I have been going back and forth right before this podcast. And the reason for that is he posted the page that is true that there's a motion where Deshaun Watson is asked to appear about a deposition. And I'm like, a deposition from what? Because, where's the new lawsuit? So here's the story. What people rarely heard is that there were 26 overall complaints regarding Deshaun Watson. The first coming out in like March of 2021, okay? And 3 months before the complaints came out in January of the same year, 2021, Deshaun Watson asked for a trade. Deshaun Watson asked for a trade during January 2021. March 2021, the first complaint comes out, and it is represented by a lawyer last name Busby, who's neighbors with the owner of the Texans. Now, people in Texas knew this already. So everybody was always side-eyeing what's going on here. Is this some type of reprimand for asking for a trade? So the first lawsuit comes out. Eventually, Deshaun Watson is traded. At some point, it's 20 lawsuits. By the time we get 4 years in, 24 lawsuits have been settled. So 26 minus 24 is what? 2. So there's 2 lawsuits somewhere. One gets tossed. It is withdrawn. That's the term used. So now we're down to 1, and that's the one we're talking about. This one particular case was filed by a different lawyer, and I got questions about that too. This case was filed by a different lawyer, and this is the one that in 2025, the guy on X is saying, he has a new suit, this, that, and the other, because he has to go to a deposition. Now, if a case originated in 2022, okay, because that's supposedly when this case came along, it was supposed to be the 26th case. The last person, hey, what about me? Filed in 2022 by a firm that is not the same firm as all the others, right? And essentially, they tried to hide the identity with the John Doe status. But you can't expect somebody to respond without knowing who the hell I'm responding to. In other words, this is what you did to me. I can't say I did or did not. I'm guilty, I'm not guilty. Or maybe I did or maybe I didn't. If I don't know who you are, so the court pressed them, she got to reveal her identity. So when you look at the court documents regarding this case, the ones that they shared on X about a deposition, he's not ordered to appear for a deposition. He filed a motion to quash it because this is 2025 and he had already been deposed. So essentially, what's put out there in 2025 relates to 2022. So 2022 to 2025. And we have this one case that they're not settling. You notice they settled the other. Okay? And if you look in the chat, there's 2 links. I shared the complaint from 2022 that's relative to the post in 2025, for you to read. It's 17 pages. It's pictures, it's inserts, text messages, statements, etc. Along with why this should have been thrown out as frivolous. And then I put something else in there from 2022 that's publicly available. The NFL personal conduct policy from the same year is in there. Okay? So you have those documents at your disposal. If you have them, I have them, everybody has them. So I didn't understand why a person would just put that out there like there's a new allegation against him, when really this is stemming from 2022. His lawyers filed a motion to quash this deposition because, for one, he's already been deposed. And I read it myself. Another judge back in 23 quashed the deposition. So here it is. They got to repeat it. And they're saying they're asking for a new deposition, but he's already been deposed in this case. Discovery's closed, but then they want a new deposition. And a judge said, okay. So they filed a motion to quash it, to throw it out. Again, repeating the same act. Discovery's closed, throw this out. And the judge didn't say no. What it is the plaintiff wants to respond. So I need you, Deshaun Watson, to come to Houston on June 5th to show up because your plaintiff wants to respond to you wanting to throw it out. That's what it is. That's really what it is. So we're being given, facts are being misrepresented. It's not a new case. It's a lingering case, which is odd to me, because if you look at all 17 pages, you like, what's going on here? Here's my question. Who the hell is paying for this besides Deshaun Watson? Because I know he got long pockets. That's obvious. His law firm is one of the best in the country. RH&A, Rusty Hardin and Associates. If you out of Houston, you know. Got to be one of the best law firms in the city. You see, they still with him all this time. In one case, for $1 million, 2 grand juries found him innocent. They didn't see no evidence that he did anything wrong. So the average lawsuit was about $1 million to maybe 2.5 at the most. That's just the average. And 26 complaints came in. They settled 24, but it's a civil lawsuit. It's not criminal. So he still maintains his innocence. And then the NFL's part is, okay, we closed the books on 24, but the NFL knew it was 26. They knew one was withdrawn, so they knew about this other one. And it's the one they choose not to settle. And it's a different lawyer. So you're like, how is this still out here? Right? Like, why is this still out here? Because the first time Deshaun's lawyers made the motion to quash the deposition, it was a scheduling conflict. This was 2023. So it seems that these people are trying to get another, and Discovery gone. I mean, it came and went. We went from 22 to 23 to 24, and now you suddenly somewhere along the line want another deposition, and they're like, we need to quash that. And it's not that the judge is like, you got to sit for a deposition. You got to come respond in person. In other words, you can't just file a motion and say, I want you to come respond in person. So he's being ordered to respond in person, which happened already on June 5th, right? I ain't had time to get to that. And this case is crazy because if you look at the 17 pages, copy and paste the links that I put in there, sit them to a side on a clipboard somewhere, and you can go back and read it at your leisure, right? So my question is, who besides Deshaun Watson is paying for this? This been lingering in slow motion with going nowhere, just absolutely going nowhere. And out of all the cases he settled, he don't want to settle this one, and it's a different lawyer. So it makes you question, is it a different lawyer intentionally, or is this a copycat lawsuit and a law firm basically been called out for what? Legal extortion. It says it in the 17 pages, along with multiple sets of text messages. The statement from the person who filed the complaint is in there. There's a side-by-side comparison of what was alleged and what she said really took place. And I'm like, why is this still happening? This is crazy to me. So I'm like, okay, there's something about this whole situation that we don't know yet. And I don't know what it is because we don't know it. And it could be why it is that he has a $240 million guarantee contract. The contract itself, when it was issued, didn't have any protection protecting the NFL. Like, either it said if he get in trouble again or suspended in 2022 or 2023, then he got to forfeit some of the money, like maybe 50 million. But it seemed like that wasn't in it at first. And in 2024, the NFL or the Cleveland Browns quietly came back and restructured the contract to put in the protection or either take it out. I don't know which one it was. But either way, because when I first read it, it said there were no protections in the original contract. They just gave him 240 free and clear, whether you injured, suspended, who cares? I'm like, why the hell would you do that? I'm like, it's crazy that he even getting $240 million. All he did was ask for a trade, and now he went from $10 million a year to $46 million a year. And after settling 24 civil lawsuits or 20 some odd civil lawsuits, he gets a contract for $240 million free and clear, and they come back quietly in 2024 to protect themselves. But if you really put in, he don't have to get in trouble in 2022 or 2023. That's not protecting you because it was quietly restructured in 2024, and he still makes $46 million a year. So they didn't restructure the money. There was clearly either no protection if he gets in trouble, and in 2024, hey, go ahead and put this in here. So it's not a new case. That's one. It's part of the original 26 that was already out there. There have been no new cases. This case was settled by a different firm from the others. This case was pursued by a different law firm other than the other 24. One was withdrawn. And then there's this one. That's 26. So it's not new. And it's not that he got to go to court and prove himself. That's already been done. What has been called out, if you read any of the 17 pages, because it's in there multiple times, is that the law firm itself knew that this was not a real case. But see, what did I tell y'all? What happened? What happened when Cassie filed her lawsuit and she settled? What happened? Oh, hell, wait. Me too. But nobody else spoke out before Cassie. She had the courage, and then the rest just wanted to ride the coattail, right? And you see he didn't settle the rest of them. But with these, even though he maintained his innocence, even though a grand jury found him, 2 grand juries, they say grand juries indict when you sneeze. 2 grand juries found this man innocent. His lawyer put out a statement, there was no wrongdoing. The NFL didn't find, no grand jury found any sufficient evidence to charge him at all. And then the NFL didn't find nothing. Then we get to the end of it. They done settled all 24, no criminal charges. All of them just settled by the mill somewhere at a piece. And he likely was advised to do that and just to move past it, right? And he doesn't end up on the commissioner's exempt list, which means you get kicked out. That don't happen. No criminal charges. You don't get kicked out. You finally get your trade in what, 2022? You finally get your trade. There's an 11-game suspension. It seemed like he served it possibly in Houston before he got to Cleveland. I'm not clear on that. Then he gets $240 million free and clear, which is crazy to me. No protections of if more cases come out or you do this again, that's it. But then quietly in 2024, it stayed restructured, but the money's not changed. They either put the protections in or took them out. If they weren't there before, they put them in. And that's what it seems like to me. That now in 2024, you know what, maybe we need to protect ourselves. And I think that's because the last one popped up in 2024. And the last one that was settled, number 24, popped up in 2024 and was instantly settled. And I think they was like, you know what, we need to protect ourselves. But see, here's the thing. They made some kind of deal with him. Tell us everything. And if anything else pop up, and that's what should have been in the lawsuit. Tell us everything. And if anything else pop up, meaning you lying to us, there's going to be ramifications and you have to forfeit this money. That doesn't seem to be what had happened. And if it did, what the hell did they change in 2024? Did you take it out? Maybe because 2022 and 2023 had passed? Either way, I still go back to the original question, and now I have an additional question. How in the hell does he get a $240 million guaranteed contract after being suspended for 11 games, settling lawsuits that total $30 to $35 million free and clear. He had $5 million in fines, but he also had a $5 million contract, which is an average of $1 million a year, which is a drop in the bucket, and 240 guaranteed, suspended or hurt, means I'm giving you all your money back. Plus your damn legal fees. Because if you got one of the best law firms in the country, that was not cheap. So it looked like he being what? Compensated. For what? For being falsely accused by who? Because no criminal charges. But this a dog and pony show. So I'm like, this is nuts. And then today when it comes out, it's bringing it back up. It's bringing it all back up. And if you go back to the 17-page complaint, which I put a link to in the chat, and you read it, you're going to be like me. Why the hell is this still out here? Who else is paying for this? Or who else is benefiting from this? Because she got it like that. She got it like that. So it's just a little weird. It's weird the way it started. The fact that he asked for a trade in January. In March, the owner, Texas owner's neighbor brings up a lawsuit. And then it turns into 20. Then it gets to 24. And then it's 26, and one is withdrawn. Two grand juries find absolutely nothing. He's still in the NFL. They're like, okay, you violated the personal conduct policy. I put the link in there for the same year for the personal conduct policy so you can see what the violations are. Now, the question is, based on this complaint right here, the person was on YouTube saying they worked at a place called Happy Endings. And she went on YouTube and talked about her customers. That's in there. She says, nothing, I wasn't intimidated, I wasn't coerced, I wasn't forced to do anything I didn't do anything I didn't want to do. That's in there. He'd already been deposed. Discoveries, the judge okay, discoveries ended. They quashed that deposition, probably because of this complaint. And then now we back trying to quash another deposition from the same team, from the same group of lawyers after this law firm was already called out for basically supporting legal extortion. And now they went from extortion to harassment. And that's what it looks like. But who's behind it? Because there's a letter stating that she supposedly has some mental diagnosis. So why are y'all continuing with this if you think something's wrong with her? Because when I read it, I'm like, is she okay? With my own two eyes. So it looks like at this point it has gone from legal extortion, and when they didn't settle, well, let's harass him. And the last thing is that the guy on YouTube shared, which is 4 pages from the document filed that has been amended after they filed to quash the deposition. The judge like, well, we want you to come in so she could respond or whatever. I don't know if he went or not. But what I do know is this is crazy. All I know is something is still out there that we don't know about that explains why he has $240 million free and clear. Whether you had protections that you added that said 2022 and 2023, this is 2025, so there are no protections in place. Unless they went in 2024 and added the language, if you get suspended again, then you forfeit some of the money, but not all. And then his contract has an insurance policy for, I think, 2 years that protects from injury and or possibly suspension. So that could be what they added. But the point is, it still doesn't explain what it looks like that he had to go through this for whatever reason. That this one case is lingering out here in slow motion. And his response is, talk to my lawyer. And I get it. Why? Because the NFL gave him $240 million fully guaranteed after 26 cases, one of which is still out here. Even though it looks frivolous as hell to me, but, he's still out there. Free and clear. He went from $10 million to $46 million a year. It costs probably $30 to $35 to settle it, so he still got $10 million he up. That's probably how much it costs to prosecute. So it seems like it's just harassment, and he got compensated or reimbursed for the damages, the loss of something, right? And that's why we're talking about this, because we were already talking about this. I said what? Well, as long as they keep playing in Shedeur face, I can now turn my attention to why he got a fully guaranteed contract. And that's why we're talking about this, because I was like, I just looked up his contract and was shocked that he didn't have no protections in place when they gave it to him. Then they quietly went back in and apparently added something. Why would you do that? Why would you? People gonna want to say it's incompetence. No, 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 no. People blame Andrew Berry for that, just like they blame Andrew Berry for passing up on Shedeur and trading away Travis. Right? I still do not believe. They say Andrew Berry started there in 2020. That's what they said as the GM. I just do not believe with the way we see them treat black athletes. Their hiring practices, those green rooms were pretty sparse when it came to Melanie. And I just do not believe that Andrew Berry had the autonomy to just give Deshaun Watson after 26 civil complaints with 24 settled, one withdrawn and one lingering. I just don't believe a fairly new GM who's black had that full autonomy. I just don't. You can't convince me of it without some kind of evidence, because I don't think he would have a job. I just don't. Just like in the draft, I'm not convinced that Andrew Berry made the decision to draft Shedeur, because you can see the look on his face. Like, I've been played. Like, this is frustrating. I already was going down this path with Shedeur, and you put that public statement out about I took a big swing and missed, and then you make me get Shedeur. Puppeteering. Possibly scapegoating, because this ain't making no sense. This not making no sense at all. And the guy on X, when I responded to him when he put it out there, he was like, well, since you defended Deshaun Watson, I said, let me be clear. Deshaun Watson is defended by RH&A. I'm pointing out the fact that you took 4 pages instead of all 17 pages of the complaint, and you posted it with all of this negativity that you had, because you clearly got some personal issue with Deshaun Watson. So why don't you just call him and y'all can settle it, but don't mislead people, because you misleading us as if you don't know what that 17-page complaint says. You're putting this story out here with this amended court filing to quash a damn deposition. And when people ask you, are you saying he has a new suit? You go, I don't know. It says it's not part of the first 24. It's part of the first 26. Because, see, that's what you didn't really hear. It's like they want to make it seem like, oh, a new one. No, there were 26. This is 26. And if you read it, regarding of what your damn reading level and comprehension level is, you know something ain't right. It points it out multiple times, not just precedents, but it points it out that this law firm, if they had just interviewed her the way his law firm did, they would have got the same story. Had they just read the text messages that's out there, then they would have known something's not right. She emailed him 35 times after they first met. He didn't respond to none of the text messages. They're fabricated. But her statement is not fabricated. She gave this statement. You know they video you. You know they record you. You know, you can't go into a lawyer's office when they ask you about what happened and you lie. And she never came back and said they lied. They didn't say we're opening a new case because she was under duress. They want to make him respond to a motion that he filed to quash a deposition, because why? He had already been disclosed. He had already been deposed, and then discovery's already closed, because this is 2025. So it's like somebody was like, just file another damn deposition and then make him appear to that, and we'll make him come in here. Which, because he's basically hiding behind his lawyer. He don't respond, they do. So they feel like he's getting out free and clear. So it seems like they just dragging him to Houston so they can say, yeah, nay. You could do that through his lawyer. And I'm not defending him at all. What I'm telling you is this crazy. This is the legal system that we are seeing being, I guess, used like a pawn for somebody's bidding that we can't see, because if she got a mental diagnosis back in 21 or 22 or yesterday, then who the hell is pulling these damn strings? And better yet, who's paying for this? Because if y'all say she got a mental diagnosis and she worked at Happy Ended, she ain't got that kind of money. I'm sorry. So who is paying for this? Who is the reason this is slowly lingering through the courts? And maybe that'll tell us why the hell it is that he got a $240 million damn fully guaranteed contract. This ain't even about Deshaun Watson. Take his name off the situation. Look at the situation. Player X settles 24 civil lawsuits with 2 pending. Oops, 1 thrown out now. So 26 settled, 2 pending, 1 thrown out, 1 pending. Read the one and you like, what the hell is going on here? Read the quash the deposition for the 2nd time after he been deposed and discovery closed. And you like, so I got to come to Houston? So this basically you want me. So it's like they wanted to get him in court to say, well, yeah, we going to depose it. And nobody talks about what happened in court in Houston on June 5th. I would imagine not much because we would have heard about it, right? So I don't care. I don't know her. You take her plaintiff X. You take him, defendant X. I don't care who this is that is involved. This is crazy. And it looks like there's something happening here meant to harass because why? No criminal charges. No kicked out the NFL. This is part of the original 26, so they can't invalidate his contract, which is what I think people were hoping for. This is not new information. It's not a new case. It's not even moving forward in the case. They quashed, try to get this motion. They asked for another deposition after already being deposed. So it looks like the other law firm knows exactly what they're doing. But who's paying this bill? Who's paying this bill if y'all say she has a mental diagnosis for some type of psychosis? Because it's not her. And definitely not Happy Ended salary with the people that she described as her clients. She said in the text message that I would like to love him, this, that, and the other. And in her statement, she said some similar things. So she seems fascinated with him. Now, yeah, he wrong. And I know he done learn from this because, see, this what happened when you just go out here random on the internet and finding a straight. Was he referred by somebody that maybe he worked with? Or did he just show up to town and start looking himself? Because there are places. They say in Atlanta, it's a place called Backpage. I don't know if it still exists, but it was or used to be a place called Backpage. That's where you go to find what you're looking for. There's also in Atlanta a few streets. Piedmont is one of them at a certain part, not too far from Piedmont Park. They conduct raids out there frequently between 2 and 3 in the morning. Why? Because there are people walking the streets, and then there are people driving around in their cars looking for the people walking in the streets in a place that they could duck over and connect and not get caught. That's every city in America, a red light district, a city area. People know when they're looking for something in particular, when they touch down in a new city, how to find it. And that could be what this is, or he could have seen it happening already somewhere within the organization potentially. It was like, hey, let me get that number. Then again, somebody might have said, hey, in case you need a massage, get this number. Or call these people. It could happen. But it's weird. And you can't deny that it's weird. And I'm going to tell y'all what I thought about. I said, I got to bring a healthy dose of skepticism about this situation, because what did we just see in the draft with Shedeur? Some people say they have never seen it. And I'm like, well, collusion is not new at all, because they were just found guilty of collusion. So that's not new. I said we saw the most extreme case of public humiliation by against a black quarterback that we've seen before. And I said, now that we've seen between the defamation and the links that they have gone through to do what? To defame Shedeur, to make him seem undesirable, to devalue him, even how they treat him when he gets to Cleveland. I told y'all from the beginning, ain't no coincidence Deshaun in the same city with Shedeur. And here we go. So now, when you look at what happened in the draft, and you look at what's happening with Deshaun, now you sit back and going, when people show you what they're capable of colluding, plotting, defaming, trying to hurt somebody, trying to harass, publicly humiliate, you have to wonder. So did y'all do to Deshaun what y'all did to Shedeur in the draft? Meaning Deshaun asked for a trade. Shedeur said he wanted to go to a team where he could win, change the culture. Public harassment over here. Was there some kind of collusion over here? Was there a coincidence between who the neighbors were, the owner and the lawyer, the first one that represented everybody? And then he gets all his money back, plus legal fees for the next 5 years. So 1 year covers everything. He got $1 million, he got $5 million fine, right? But that's average of $1 million a year. But I essentially gave that back to you. So it looks like a dog and pony show. Because nobody can justify. Not only did he get a $240 million fully guaranteed contract, it was the only one in NFL history. When Lamar Jackson wanted to renegotiate, they stalled him for 2 years. I told y'all he's been colluded against 3 times. The MVP comes up for free agency in all 32 teams, just like Shedeur. Nobody got nothing to say. Nobody need a quarterback, just like Terrell Pryor. And he's not the only person that happened to. So these are not new tactics. But the Deshaun situation is interesting because we know he settled 24 cases. We know you suspended him for 11 games. We know you fined him $5 million. And we're like, okay, you think he will be gone from the league. He is not on the commissioner's exempt list. There's nothing that can come against him for this because they knew about this. They knew this was out here. It's not new. And there has been nothing new. There has been nothing new, and they refuse to absolutely settle and talk about this. 2 grand juries, no wrongdoing. So he got all his money back. So I was like, well, now that after I seen what y'all did to Shedeur, I know now what you did to Lamar 3 times. And now I know, how they like to move people out the way, or hold people back, publicly humiliate. What the hell is going on with this $240 million? I'm not even asking that question no more. Something went on. And it feels like, I'm going to tell you what it feels like. It feels like there was collusion to publicly humiliate him using something that they thought only he did. And in the course of it, he was like, yeah, I wasn't the only one. And he was like, him, and I got the number from him. And they don't want that to get out. So you know what? We messed up again. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead on and settle these lawsuits. We're going to give you a trade. And we're going to pay you $240 million guarantee. And you can move on with your career and your life. Maybe that was an apology. Somebody got to explain it. And that is why we are talking about this, because we saw what happened to Shedeur. You see how that worked? Maybe it's karma that this is coming back up. Maybe it's karma to show that the whole thing was a setup from the rip. After asking for a trade, I'm going to stick it to you good. I'm going to show you. And oops, all these other people caught up in it, and they want to protect them. Ben Roethlisberger, his first civil lawsuit, they didn't suspend him. They didn't even send him out the game. It took the second one for him to get a 4-game suspension, which was equivalent to cannabis or Tom Brady Deflategate, which, by the way, Tom Brady Deflategate penalties are fines or punishment was recalled. He never had to. So he got away with that. Ben Roethlisberger went on to play in the league. Deshaun Watson still playing in the league. And then a collusion case came from this. Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and they say others, black quarterbacks, veterans, were like, we want a fully guaranteed contract too. The NFL was like, no. So why did Deshaun Watson get it? Questions that need answers, but to be honest with you, I don't need no more answers. I already know. He wasn't the only one. Justin Tucker told you that. But see, in Houston on the ground, people said this was exactly what it looked like. I just didn't know Deshaun Watson was in Cleveland. That was new to me. And then I was like, how did he get to Cleveland? So imagine knowing what's going on in Houston, hearing he wasn't the only one. And then years later, my favorite player lands in Houston after seeing what? Him be colluded against, him be publicly humiliated, him be defamed. And then he goes to a team. I'm like, Deshaun Watson in Cleveland? I'm like, how the hell that happened? I'm like, how the hell that happened? For real, I'm like, how the hell did he get to Cleveland? I'm serious. Imagine 2020, 2021, and then you just fast forward to 2025. You like, how did he get over here? He's still in the league? What? Or maybe I knew he was in the league. Maybe I didn't make the connection that he was at the same team where Shedeur just went. So it was a glaring, oh shit, what's really going on? That's what it was to me. You know how planes get ready to land on the runway and you do like this? That's me. I'm like, wait a minute. Now I saw what they did to Shedeur. Is that what you did to Deshaun? Is that why he got this $240 million contract? And here this come right back up. And it shocked me that USA Today would use as a source the guy from X. And then he wanted to get into it with me. And I'm like, look here, bro. I'm like, I'm not defending him, but you are providing misinformation. I said, there's a whole 17-page complaint. Here you go. Summer reading. Stop misleading people. That's all it, just stop misleading people. So I know Deshaun Watson, like, I should have never called these people. Because, it's people that do that, though. She talked about her customers. So it's not a unique experience. And I don't know how he got to it, but it's starting to look like what people said in Houston back then, that Justin Tucker proved he wasn't the only one. And I do feel like they try to protect certain people. So we got Aaron Rodgers now, right? Aaron Rodgers, allegations just came down against him. From who? Danica Patrick. And then we hear Aaron Rodgers goes to sign with Pittsburgh. And I'm like, you're not going to look into this? Then you got Stephon Diggs with the whole pink powder stuff. And you're not going to look into that? Because, see, all of that can open up the door, just like with Deshaun Watson. So Aaron Rodgers and Danica Patrick, it could be somebody else. And then you're going to have a scandal. But I was thinking, is there something in their contracts that say that they can't be suspended until they are proved guilty? Because they just allow these things to go on and on and on. And I don't even know if it's fair to say Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed contract was business as usual, because it's the only one in NFL history following that kind of excessive misconduct. But he was never found guilty. And he was never on the commissioner's exempt list. So what the hell was it then? Just personal misconduct, but nothing serious. So when people keep talking about it, they making you think it's similar to what Danica Patrick described, a trail of blood. No, it's not like that. It seems that he reached out to people who publicly were massage therapists, but they admittedly, like this person, worked at Happy Endings and talked about their customers. If you put yourself out that this is what you do, you laughing at your customers, you say where you work, and you say somebody forced you to do what you do at Happy Endings, because that's really what it is. And then that's what he paid you for, but then you kept texting it and he didn't want to come back, and then you get mad. or you get, I don't know, caught up in something, or maybe you do have psychosis. But either way, he was like, it was a one and done. It wasn't a relationship. So it's like she wanted it to be a relationship. She's like, I would like to know what it is to love him. Be, it's in that read. And he was like, you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it was no, and she said it. There was nothing forced. I wasn't asked to do anything I didn't want to do. So this is a sketchy situation because I think it's illegal. I think that might actually be the one that started with P word, but there were no criminal charges. You see what I'm saying? There were no criminal charges. And it wasn't enough to kick him out the league. And so that means it wasn't anything serious. It's just misconduct. Even 22 times, which in my opinion is excessive. But 2 grand juries found him no ability to charge. There was nothing to charge him on. So I don't know why he had to settle 22 lawsuits and give 20 people $1 million to $1.5 million each. But I know one thing, between his $10 million legal fees that he probably got, and I'm serious, and $25 million worth of lawsuits, he got it back in the tune of $46 million in 1 year, and then he gets an additional $46 million until 2026, which means he got paid for 2025. He gonna get paid for 2026, and his injury is the only thing that gets them their money back. So that's what it is. So we're gonna see who in here. Good morning, fam. It said Freeman Harris said, I'm so excited for what we will receive today. She always have 1 or 2 nuggets each day to add to our repository of facts, truths, and logical conclusions. I love it. Thank you, Freeman. Thank you so much. And it said, hey everybody. It said, has she started? Okay. So yeah, they can wait for it to show. Good afternoon, fam. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you. It says, you look like Erykah Badu, pretty lady that knows her sports. Oh, that's good. I didn't know she was a sports fan. Thank you for that, Kirby. Thank you. It says, Salafi. It said, your coffee or tea. Oh, sent you an email. Okay, thank you so much. It said, I got back in, had technical difficulties. Yeah, I did too when I started. Thank you for that, though. Thank y'all for hanging out. And it says, hey, Gracie, happy Friday. Happy Jerry, how you doing? Kay Hayes, how you doing? Gracie, it said, I'm starting early. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It said, if I'm not mistaken, the attorney for a lot of the accusers in Deshaun's case was the shady attorney who brought, oh, you're right. So that's what I was saying. If there were 26 in total, 1 withdrawn, the other, 24 were all with the same lawyer, the same guy with the whole Jay-Z thing. And the whole Jay-Z thing went similar to what's going on with this one particular lingering case. It's like, this is frivolous. They concealed the identity to sensationalize the case, which was to apply pressure to maybe try to get him to settle. And there's a reason why they didn't settle this one. There's a reason why they settled the other one. There's a reason why they didn't settle this one. And the fact that this one was supposedly the last one to come through. And when you read it and you look at the evidence that's there, it makes you ask, why is this not moved on? You can see why he didn't settle it based on what's presented. You can see there's no new case open and people are misrepresenting what's really happening here. This is not a new case, and they know that because it says it on the social media. There were 26 cases originally, and it says it more than once. So there is something going on here. We might not ever get to the bottom of it, but it's not a coincidence that Shedeur and Deshaun are on the same team. And Shedeur's situation and what he had to endure. Thank y'all so much. What he had to endure makes you look at Deshaun Watson and start asking questions with a healthy dose of skepticism. How the hell did he get that money? See, we were already asking that question. And now that you see how that went, how that case went, and how the facts are being presented, and the fact that the person that put the 4 pages out there when he easily could have shared the 17. And the USA Today picked up what he posted and moved it forward without explaining what it really was with a caption, new allegations against Deshaun Watson, even if it's a question mark. And then they're like, no, it's not part of the first 24, which is misrepresentation. It's part of the first 26, the original 26, and the last. Hey, Miss Lady, greetings, everybody. Greetings. Andrew Berry is in there. It's their scapegoat. It seems like it. It seems like it, Isaiah. And see, that's what it's making you look at. It's making the bigger picture. It's a bigger picture here. Look at what happened to Shedeur in the draft and where he ended up. Look at what happened with Deshaun in Houston and where he ended up. And look at who that GM is and how Black people overall in the NFL, whether it's executive level or the players, look at the $1 billion lawsuit the NFL just settled for race norming, which comes straight out of a plantation in 2021, the same time this was happening with Deshaun Watson. And people say what about Shedeur? Oh, they try to teach him a lesson. Well, no, they didn't. Because they don't want to say what. It starts with an R. So then now you got to look at Deshaun Watson with a fresh pair of glasses and look at it a little differently and read a little more. You can't look at the headline. You can't just look at 24 cases, so this is a new one. No, because people are intentionally misrepresenting the facts. I went and did a video yesterday, and I put in snippets of clips of language of what a person said about Shedeur. And I pointed out that they have social media, but they didn't put it there. They put it where? They crawled through the crevices and the cracks of the World Wide Web, where you have to type in a www or maybe kind of like run across it. Run across it. And when you read it, and they're giving you a story like it's the gospel truth. Shedeur Sanders could not convince any NFL teams that he met with that he was willing to stay late or show up early, something millions of people do every day, aka he's entitled. Or he should have had an agent, but he wanted to keep the grown QB wanted to keep his whole pie. But then he ended up with something that looked more like an uncooked Pop-Tart. So that meant there were people that took satisfaction in the fact that Shedeur got only paid $4 million instead of his full pie in the second pick of the draft. Because he would have kept all of his money. He didn't want to pay an agent's fee. So y'all shook him down because you extorted him. You devalued him because he didn't want to hire an agent. When you see that this is how business is being conducted. These are people associated or call themselves associated with the NFL and constantly on the NFL channels as guests, but they don't talk about this there. They don't put this on their social media. They put it in the middle where you can't find it unless you're a part of that group that goes to these forums and chat rooms and leave comments on the story. But under this story, you couldn't leave no comment. So they basically spew defamation about Shedeur with no ability for anybody to debate, rebut, challenge, or call fraud. They know what they're doing. They pushing a narrative. But yeah, people say winning solves everything. It did it for Joe Gilliam. Because he had a winning record and they snatched it from him. Shedeur Sanders was the second pick in the draft, and they knew it. I mean, yeah, the second pick in the draft, first round, even projected first round by the NFL itself, and they snatched it from him. It's not snatching things away from Black quarterbacks is not new. What is different is Deshaun Watson getting a fully guaranteed $240 million contract after he asked for a trade in January of 2021. He eventually got that trade and $240 guaranteed with essentially no protection. Thank you, Gracie. Thank you. He announced his engagement recently. Yep. She mad because she's now wifey material, bro. Stay off the OnlyFans. They've been dating. They've been together. And this, I put what are the implications? Okay, so there's no implication to his contract because this is not part of the original 26. When people say it's a new case, it's not part of the original 24, they either uninformed or they intentionally misrepresenting. And if you're going to post information from court documents, you must know something. So you should have read enough to know that there were 26 cases. So no, it's not new. So there's no implications to his contract. They are actually being, depending on how long he's injured. If he's injured this year, then they get his salary back due to insurance. If he's injured next year, then they get his salary back due to insurance. So that's why some people, and I asked the question, why are some people so confident Deshaun Watson has taken his last snap in the NFL? Because they know he's injured this year. Let's see what happens next year. Is he going to be injured and they're going to get their money back? Or are they going to trade him somewhere and somebody else pay it? No, it's guaranteed. They got to pay it. So to me, Deshaun Watson is showing up every day. Cleveland working out, showing everybody. It's not me that's the problem. I want to play. I can play. They don't want me to play. So they don't have to have him injury reserve for the whole season. He's good. So let's see what happens. Because I told y'all he could be a wild card and they could use him to keep Shedeur out the QB1 spot. But I told you last night when we looked at our chart, it's the same thing. But so yes, there's no implication in his contract. This is not a new case. It's part of 26. The girl he's marrying, while all of this occurred in Houston, that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. It's a reminder for her. You know he married, right? You know. And because there's nothing new, she's probably gonna go forward with it. I mean, if you see how they live, it might be kind of hard for her to walk away because this is everything, and maybe they talked about it. And then again, he didn't get no criminal charges, and 2 grand juries said there was not enough to charge him on. And when you look at what's alleged and what was said, it is documented. Something going on. He may have tangible proof. 3240, 240. He got something. He got something. I know that. He got something. I know that. I said, he got something. He got something. And whatever it is, it stopped them dead in their tracks. It stopped them dead in their tracks. And it's not a coincidence that civil rights violation lawsuit that the NFL settled for race norming was all sold in 2021. The same year Deshaun Watson asked for a trade, and 3 months later, a lawyer who's neighbors with the owner presents the first lawsuit and represents all of them but this one. So we don't even need to talk about Watson. He's done. I'm just saying, if something ain't right, this ain't about Watson. Take his name off of it. The situation, and Shedeur is there. The situation is coming up because Shedeur is there, and we like, now how did he get this? Because every time they say, "Oh, he's taking his last snap," I'm like, how y'all so confident, right? Because you would think on the surface if you give somebody $240 million, and by the way, if you didn't see Deshaun Watson play in 2023, then you might need to go look at it. Because his starter record is a dub. 8-4 as a starter. And the way they rotated 3 quarterbacks through the first 7 seasons and they amassed a winning record and handed it over to Joe Flacco. The way you do business is what's being discussed. That's really what this is about. The way you do business. Because that's why it ended up with a collusion case. How on earth do you stand down against 3 quarterbacks who are veterans who want a fully guaranteed contract after you gave who won? And yes, they were found guilty of collusion. But I told y'all last night, they're not scared of it because somewhere in their process, their contracts, it must be that you can't sue the NFL if you have a grievance. You have to go before an arbitrator, which they likely had a hand in choosing, which is why they blow past collusion like that. But this case, the $100 million case, is different. This is external. And I thought about it. I would not be downloading the NFL app because it very well could be a statement that says if something happens, and they probably put it in there going forward, like Disney did. If something happens, you can't sue the NFL. You have to go through arbitration. See, this is a case in court. So, and thank you, Trader Ben. Love your shows. Oh, thank you for the love. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, it's just this is real talk. It's like, what the hell is going on? And now that you see what Shedeur went through, you see, what has taken place with what has taken place. I'm trying to pin this, but I guess it's highlighted, so I'll try to pin it, but it won't let me pin it. So I just basically want to say there's something went down. There's something went down behind that. There's something behind the contract. That's the point. It's something behind giving a man back all of the money that he settled out plus legal fees, and then 4 years additional to go enjoy his life. While you say in the NFL he's taking his last snap. Then why are you paying him $240 million? You see what I'm saying? So, that's it. That's it. So, people have this perception of Deshaun Watson based on what took place. But when you sit and you look and read, because what did I ask the other day? Who was on here on this podcast, regardless of the day or time of day, when I said the Cleveland Browns owner said on March 31st, on about March 31st, they took a big swing and missed with Deshaun Watson. And then I'm getting to know the Cleveland Browns, so I watched the 2023 season. I learned they have 3 black QBs going through rotations of the first 7 games. They have a winning record, and then they hand it over to Joe Flacco, who got hurt and somebody else had to get the baton. They didn't go back to the first 3. Then I'm learning about Joe Gilliam, how he had his starting job snatched from him when he had a winning record, and they gave it to Terry Bradshaw. So I'm seeing similarities here happening. And then, when you look at the bigger picture here, the way you do business, it's not good, because it's now making you see the way they went after Shedeur to move him out the way. Because why? Drop it in the chat if you know. There's something there. And to me, that's why this is still dragging on. See, when something is still dragging on, what does it do? It gives you the opportunity to go back and see that you missed something, or learn something, or discover how something started. Where did this come from? When things don't make sense, wait 5 minutes. I just said probably not 24 hours ago. I got 2 trains going down 2 different tracks to the same destination. And one of them is Deshaun Watson. And here we are less than 24 hours ago. Less than 24 hours. So something pops up in the news, more information comes out. And that's what happens when things drag. More information can be presented and discovered. It's like, wait a minute. Now he got this contract after doing what? And then y'all say he played his last snap and you seem so certain. So why would you give him this kind of money that you have never given to anybody else, and just went toe to toe with 3 current veterans that I know of and wouldn't give it to them? And they never been in no trouble. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. The real is that Deshaun's contract with the Texans was $160 million for 5 years, but he demanded a trade after 2 years. The Texans were mad, and then the allegations started. They wanted their money back. Deshaun Watson only made $10 million a year when he left the Texans. I looked up his salary, his contract earnings. And there might have been an offer on the table, and he didn't want that. But he made $10 million his last year as a Texan. And you could go back and look at his every year salary. He didn't make this kind of money until he got to Cleveland. And it still doesn't satisfy why the hell they would give him $240 million guaranteed in history and go toe-to-toe with 3 vets who are actively currently playing with no misconduct of any kind and not give it to them. It does not satisfy that argument. I don't think he's done, but I feel like he may be done in Cleveland. I don't even know why he's there. See, first you got to know why he's in Cleveland. Maybe they like, look, we're going to give you a trade. And maybe they just, We don't even know why Shedeur in Cleveland. So we definitely don't know why the hell Deshaun Watson is in Cleveland. Let's just be clear. We don't even know why neither one of them had to go to Cleveland. If Deshaun Watson wanted to trade, he could win anywhere, right? Why didn't they make him a QB2? Because I got to justify this $240 million contract. And then when people realize it's fully guaranteed, they're going to be like, huh? And that's where the collusion case come from. And then, yes, they were found guilty of colluding. So we don't know why Deshaun Watson ended up in Cleveland. We know he asked for a trade, making $10 million and ended up making 46 that paid back his legal fees and these damn settlements. He got all his money back. Explain that. All of it. And plus some more to go live a nice life. $46 million a year for the next 4 years, because the 1 year basically covered everything. How you think they got to that number? How you think they got to that number? They didn't pull it out the air. It said it's dragging because Watson won't give them their money's worth. This has nothing to do with Shedeur. It's not about Shedeur. I said it's not a coincidence that what just happened with Shedeur landed him in Cleveland, and what happened with Deshaun landed him in Cleveland. That's what I said. We didn't say it's about Shedeur. We're saying because of what happened with Shedeur and how people saw how business is conducted with this particular draft, even if you don't know the motive behind it, 17 to 32, even if you don't know the motive, you see how it went down. You see the defamation. You see the anonymous trying to defame. You see people going on a record to defame. You see the owner saying what? Take that entitled off the board. You see people putting out articles who go on NFL shows in places where you can't see it. You got to stumble across it that says that's lying with absolutely no facts. So the question is, why after Coach Prime went on Asante Samuel's podcast, the very next day, people are crawling through the crevices of the World Wide Web and lying, saying he should have had an agent, but he didn't want to pay his 4%. So you colluded against him because he didn't want an agent on a non-negotiable contract. That makes him smart. And then you want to say, he couldn't convince anybody he would stay late or early, as if Shedeur was born yesterday or the day before the draft, and they absolutely have no history on this young man, and we don't either. And there's so much out there to refute that. Not just what's happening in Cleveland. I'm not surprised today that there's a few posts out here with people on the inside saying, man, this guy is good. I'm not surprised by that at all. They're whispering to each other. But Mary Cabot is pointing out that he had to work out by himself on another field, doing 7-on-7s. Why we need to know that? So she continuing on with the negativity, which is why I said on Monday I will have a healthy dose of skepticism. No, this is not about Shedeur Sanders. But it points out the fact after what we saw in the NFL draft towards Shedeur Sanders, to lock him out the first round, to prevent him from becoming an elite QB1 or a QB1 in the first round, which means he could start. Now that we see what they're capable of and willing to go through to get what they want, or to maybe stick it to him, or to prevent him from becoming 17 to 32, you got to look at Deshaun Watson, who on the same team with him, whose situation just resurfaced because somebody putting out half the damn story. And you like, and I told the guy, I said, you saying all this about Deshaun Watson, why does he have the only fully guaranteed contract in NFL if you so certain that he did what? The NFL don't seem to think so. He ain't have nothing to say. That's what he should be talking about. But see, nobody wants to ask that question. Maybe because they already know the answer, just like they know he's taking his last snap. And that's why they're fighting off these guaranteed contracts, fully guaranteed tooth and nail. Right, but Cleveland is one of the teams on Shedeur's list. It was just where he was drafted. No, it was not. Ain't nothing just, Shedeur didn't just land nowhere. Understand that. Unless you didn't see the draft, and then I can maybe see why you could say that. If you didn't see the draft, I want you to go back and watch it. There was a post that went around. somebody is a part of the sits at the top of the executive branch had something to say. So no, it didn't just happen. Hopefully, these future NFL prospects will see what the NFL did to Shedeur because it could happen to them. That's the point. And it should change the swiftness with which they come out of college. Hopefully, they have other league invites. They're not going to take the CFL because Shedeur was on the negotiating list with the CFL, probably in case this don't work out, which is why people were like, why would you say he likely made the roster? For the same reason he was on the invite list or the negotiating list with the CFL. Like, just because we moved past the draft, let us not forget what that felt like. Let us not forget what we saw. And a lot was happening. But it was all collaborated, and it was a one big plot to expose involving the NFL. One big plot to defame, humiliate, push down, prevent from being QB1. That's why people are whispering in Cleveland, because they don't want to say out loud what was obvious out of Colorado, that they should have drafted Shedeur at number 2 like they had planned. And they used Deshaun Watson as the scapegoat, which is why he up there showing it ain't me. And I think he's right. So there it is. All right, y'all. So we're going to get out of here. This was a good lunch. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you. I totally agree. These guys got to learn from this. They got to put their millions together and start their own league before they get locked out. Because in 1934, it happened. And it could happen again. It just probably going to look different because the things that are happening with Joe Gilliam seemingly took place with 3 black quarterbacks in Cleveland in 2023, where they put together a winning record and it was snatched and given to Flacco, who couldn't be available at the most critical moment. And people are talking about Joe should start and then hand Shedeur a record. What if he hand him a losing record? That's exactly what happened to Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta. When Michael Penix Jr. should have just started. They went and got Kirk Cousins, messed it all up, and then they want him to be the damn savior. And the first thing you hear at the end of the season, when they get it all together, Michael Penix Jr. is the starter. You know why? Because people weren't going to buy no tickets. They're like, we're not supporting this. We are not supporting this. And that does matter. We matter. 88 million people, they say, watched the damn Super Bowl. They wasn't all at the damn stadium in New Orleans. Those 88 million people matter. And a lot of them look like us. Browns fan here. The Browns gave Watson the guaranteed contract because he at first turned him down. Plus, they were competing against 3 other teams. Okay. I'm going to let you make it with that. Okay. Oh, you're a Browns fan. Okay. Maybe the Colts will trade for Flacco since Richardson is out indefinitely now. Hell, I heard Shedeur could go there. I heard since Richardson is out with the shoulder injury, CJ Stroud is also out, but I don't know if he's indefinite. But I heard, maybe they can send Shedeur to Indianapolis. I'm like, y'all ain't sending Shedeur nowhere. That's going to be interesting. What did I tell y'all was going to happen when 31 teams saw Shedeur basically ball out? I said, it's going to be conversations that don't make it to the forefront on how they going to get to Shedeur because Cleveland is treating him like he's a 4th-round QB. And you see Mary Cabot is supposedly still out here with the negative narrative. And what did I say if she was still doing that? She's not acting independently. So you let these other teams get wind of that. And they're going to do just like they did with Bryce Young. They're going to descend up on the Cleveland Browns, and it's going to be a hostile damn takeover. You just ain't going to know much about it. Thank you for that, NFL Lunatic. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I see what you were saying. You were saying they were competing against 3 other teams. I get it, but at the end of the day, excessive misconduct, 11 suspensions, $5 million, that's one thing, okay? Because no criminal charges, but I did violate the 2022 personal conduct policy, which I put a link to along with the 17-page complaint in the chat. Check it out. It's one thing, okay? 240 million guaranteed is hold up. With being the only. See, if it wasn't the only, if he just got a contract, just like everybody else, okay, maybe, he good. He no criminal charges. Okay, suspended. I get it. The only fully guaranteed contract and he gets the trade. And 3 other quarterbacks file a collusion case against the NFL and win, but don't get the fully guaranteed contract. So again, it's only Deshaun Watson? No, this goes all the way back to Houston. This, you got to look at who represented the initial 24. And you got to look at who his neighbor was. And you got to look at Deshaun Watson asking the trade, and you need to look at the climate in the NFL in 2021. Y'all heard me say they settled what in 2021? Right? Race norman. $1 billion with a B. Violating civil rights. Maybe I violated his too. And I don't want that to come out. Just thought. So if Cleveland drops the ball and don't have Shedeur behind Flacco, they put him behind Kenny Pickett or Dylan Gabriel and put him on the practice squad. He's getting picked up immediately, and they know it. Right. See, it's not that Cleveland is in a pickle. The NFL is in a pickle. Understand that. Shedeur said his phone number was given out to 2,000 people that did not need to know by whom? The NFL. Just like Deshaun Watson. Asked for a trade, and the owner's neighbor is who? The lawyer representing all of the cases, 98, 99% of them, except for this random one that's still out here. Y'all don't see it yet? You don't see it yet? You don't see it yet? I'm just saying, you don't see it yet? Okay. But anyway, the NFL itself is in a pickle because you don't think they could have said, one of y'all better draft him. Who said it? Who said it? And I think about that. Who said it? Y'all stupid. Who said it? Okay. And they don't want to admit it. That's how he got drafted. Between that and the damn prank that ended up on CNN swiftly, their backs were against the wall. They were not going to draft him. He was either going to be Mr. Relevant or undrafted free agent. Because, yep, when I did the video yesterday, I put in the snippet that said it. They sent out his phone number and they had a waiver wire attached. They intentionally attached a waiver wire with his phone number. Oh, he giving us his phone number. Ha, 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 ha. Even equipment managers got the email. And he don't know it. He already cut. That's why they used the waiver wire. You don't think Mary Cabot got the email? When people show you what they're capable of doing, now you got to look everything. That's like in certain cities. Okay, you have labs that process DNA for criminal cases, right? And this is a perfect example. There are labs that have been found to have mismanaged the DNA. So guess what they got to go back and do? Not only can I not convict on this one case, I got to look at all the cases that your lab processed again. And in most cases, throw them out. Because when people show you how they conduct business, you got to apply it to all the business that they have conducted. Understand that. So it says, oh, hey, Queen. It says, if Cleveland drops the ball. Yep, no, thank you. Somebody else will get it. I agree. It said, how come none of these owners are locked up for their illegal behavior? You know why. Did y'all see Twitter today? X today? There is a post going around from Elon Musk. I reshared it and asked, so the executive branch is now a telenovela. Because what is going on? So it seems that 2 people are beefing. And one went to the platform that he owns and is putting out the truth that we didn't know, that some people suspected. But he's confirming a lot of things on how so-and-so got elected. And now he's putting out there that number 47 was on Epstein's list. And that's why the list wasn't put out. That's crazy. So they beefing and the truth coming out. See, this is what I'm saying. Then I tell y'all, at some point in the NFL, they're gonna start pointing fingers and somebody gonna get fired. Some people gonna get fired. I told y'all that's happening. And do you see that the coach who put his name on the defamation against Shedeur still has a job? That's what protection looks like until they start beefing. So there you go. All right, y'all. So this was good. An hour and 15 minutes. This was actually really, really good. If you like to read, check the two links out in the chat. One is the 17-page complaint. The other is the personal conduct policy for the same year that case was filed. If you just want to peruse and read and see for yourself what's going on, But this situation is to be continued. But I appreciate Charlotte for sending it to me. This was really good. This was really good, and it's perfect timing. Perfect timing. All right, y'all. We'll see you later. Thank you. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Midday Huddle for What She Said Sports. We'll be talking about our guy Shedeur. Shiloh was actually on Twitch earlier, so we'll get into that at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yep, Freeman, I said it. They was gonna start fighting. See y'all later. Stay tuned.